When we're dealing with inequalities, it's important to be able to visualize what the answers are. So with graphing inequalities, we're just going to go ahead and take a number line, just like so. Boom, there you got a number line. Of course, we would write our numbers on it, depending on where your number is located. Then we'd go ahead and put a circle on the number indicating the inequality. So if you had something like, let's say you had x less than 2 or something like that, we want to visualize what are the possibilities for that variable, right? We want to know, what can I put in for x? What can I replace x with? And you may say something like 1, 0, -1, -2.5. Any value that's less than 2. So we go ahead and draw a circle around the number in the inequality. And then we have to decide if we're going to shade in that circle or leave it open. To decide, we simply look at the inequality. If there's a line under the inequality, so if it was less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, we would shade that circle in. That means that it can be included, so that's why we need to shade it in. Otherwise, you're going to go ahead and just leave it open because it indicates that it's not included and it's not a possibility. In other words, we couldn't replace x with 2 because there's no line underneath there. And then the last part is, which side should I shade? Should I shade to the left or to the right? So we look at the direction of the inequality, make sure that that variable is on the left, and we notice that all values which are less than 2 are going to work. You can also indicate which values can I put in for that variable. So we could put in 1, 0, -1, so on and so forth. So any value to the left. So we simply shade. You don't have to be an expert at this part. It's okay. Make it look as beautiful as you can. Just keep trying your best. Okay, so let's go through a couple more examples, and then I'll leave you to move on to the next subject. So let's go ahead and graph these two inequalities. So the first one we're going to start off with, x is greater than 9. So what values could we put in for x that we could replace it with? Well, maybe you're thinking 10, 11, 11.9, get a little crazy in there, right? Throw in some decimals, whatever floats your boat. So we always start with the same way. Let's start with a number line. Now, I like to zone in on my number because it just makes my life a little bit easier. And I don't have to write out all those numbers, which I know you guys don't have a ton of time, so do what you can. Then we're going to go ahead and draw that circle around the number 9. Now, should we shade that circle in or should it be left open is the question. So what do you think? Should we leave it open or should we shade it in? Well, go over here to the inequality. There's no line underneath there, meaning it's not equal to. We leave it open. And then we decide which area should I shade. So should I shade to the left or to the right? X is greater than, so values which are larger than 9 are going to work. So you said 10, 11. Well, those values are to the right. Boop. Boop. That is a terrible arrow. Hopefully your arrow looks a little bit better. Do what you can, right? This isn't an artist class, but that's okay. It's not a fine art class. We try, we do what we can. Okay, so the next inequality, the first thing I want you to notice is that the variable is in a different location. The variable is on the right-hand side. So we don't want to start off this way. We like when the variable is on the opposite side. And the cool thing about inequalities is you can move things to the other side simply by doing the inverse. Think of it as the mirror image where you're just flipping everything to flip it to the other side. So I'm going to flip this to y is less than or equal to 5. These are equivalent. I'm essentially just reading this backwards, if you want to think of it that way as well. 5 is greater than or equal to y is the same thing as y is less than or equal to 5. Just reading it backwards. Okay. Now that my variable's on the left, I can go ahead and graph this. So, of course, I start with my number line, draw my wonderful handy-dandy numbers, boom, boom, and we need to graph our number. So we draw a circle around our number. Do I shade that number in? What do you guys think? Or do I leave it open? Well, this time, a little change of pace. It is equal to. So since we can have that value, I'm going to go ahead and shade it in. Boom, shaded it in, check mark. Now I have to decide, am I shading to the left or to the right? Well, where are my values located? Where any value that is less than or equal to 5. That would be things like 4, 3, 2, 0, all the values that are to the left of 5. That arrow looks a little bit better that time. So that's graphing inequalities. Go ahead and try some out on your own. You can make up inequalities and just practice. It comes in handy when you're trying to visualize what your answers are.